You know which one I do like, but it needs to be in the right situation. It's the elevator one. Darth Vader's sister, Elevator.
Oh, for God's sake! Okay.
No, you wasted it. You can't tell the
Right.
joke now. It's
My
terrible.
kids like it when we're near an elevator.
No.
Well, see,
I've
you're
never
not
heard that
9.
one.
That's why.
You're. All right. We ready? We're good. And Toots, I'm proud of you for getting me the intros.
Oh, you
in a
guys will
timely
like it this
fashion.
week. I
Yeah,
think.
they're going to be good. Eric, stop peeking. It's like Christmas. Welcome to the Geeky A Go-Go podcast, a weekly podcast where we talk about news, movies, TV shows, comic books, cosplay. If it has something to do with what's going on in the world of pop culture, we'll talk about it here. My name is Anthony Pizzuto. Let's get this party started. Joining me today in the Go-Go, the man with a PhD in dad jokes and a minor in trivia and puns. Brace yourself for Nitro Chris. The other guy who consistently wins his town's Christmas decorating contest. Sorry, Tim Dirty Jers Trooper Boylan. And last but not least, the man who still uses his parents' Hulu login, and yes, he will gladly share it with you, Mr. Eric Ho. All right, Eric, we're in the home stretch for Christmas. Y'all set?
I sure am. Decorations are up. It's nice, excessive as Chris's decorations. I think we're ready to go.
You ready to go? All right. Actually, I'm not going to ask you for any teasers on what the big present is for Mrs. Eric Ho. So we can wait till next week's episode to talk about that.
It's actually not a secret.
Oh.
It's already we give each other very practical gifts.
Please tell me you didn't get her a vacuum cleaner or an air fryer.
No. Though a rice cooker was 1 year's gift.
All right. Well, if you eat a lot of rice, then that is, I guess, a practical gift.
Not just any rice cooker. This rice cooker like sings when it's done cooking. It's like a whole thing. Yeah. Japanese people know how to make good rice cookers.
Okay.
No, this year's major gift is we converted one of our rooms into a gym, and then she wanted like an exercise mirror.
Ooh.
And so we had those installed a few days ago. So I was gonna go get one of those really giant bowls. You can. But I feel like what I'm going to do with that thing, I'm going to use that one set. It's going to be cycle around the free market Facebook groups for a while. So we'll see.
Nice.
I might still get one. I don't think it's too late yet.
Just do it. You have your eye on it. Just do it. And those exercise mirrors are pretty cool. I think I would just get lost staring in my beautiful eyes, though, instead of actually focusing on working on the pecs and the curls and my beautiful dad bod. So, well, I hope Jessie enjoys her present. All right, Toots and his new, I know I dropped the Toots bomb last week, so now I just have to stick with it. I'm so sorry, Tim.
That's okay.
I mean, all of our 9 active fans are now going to be expecting me to calling you Toots from now on. So it's just, I know you try to sneak in Dirty Jers Trooper there to try to like up your street cred. I'll just knock it down. That's
okay.
All right. I have no problem doing it.
I feel like folks are going to want an origin story on the nickname, so we're gonna have to dedicate an episode to that.
We will. I think we can talk about Nitro. Eric and I don't really have. I mean, I have pizza dough, but like only Jimbo calls me that, and Chris is Tower when he tells the captains to call me pizza dough when I land at Newark Airport. So Toots, you have a beautiful new background. So you're living large right now. You ready for the big holiday?
I guess. I don't. You know what? I was in the city this week. I had to go there for work. I generally go into the city a couple times a week, but my wife likes it in the city because everything's all decorated. You got Macy's, and I hate it actually because I work in the middle of Times Square, 48th and 6th. And there's already a ton of tourists there to begin with. So add Christmas in there, and it's like times 10. And I just, I hate it during the wintertime or Christmas time. No offense to the tourists or people who want to go to New York City during Christmas time. But
is there anything about Manhattan in the Christmas months that you like? Anything? Or is your heart just 3 times too small that it can't accept the love of Santa and the Christmas spirit?
I can't think of anything redeeming right now.
No, it's it's totally fine. This is a judgment-free zone. I'm with you. I worked in the city for a long time. I don't have to work there anymore, thankfully. And I agree. It is bananas. I mean, it's bananas anytime in Manhattan, but especially around the Christmas because every store has their display up and people just stop right in front of you and you smash into them and you spill your Starbucks all over your suit like that one time. And it's just not a good experience. So I'm with you, Toots. Don't worry about it. We still love you. All right. But Mr. Christmas himself, the man who literally lights up the New Jersey sky with his holiday. Like, okay, I swung by Nitro's house, I guess Tuesday of this past week to pick up something. And I didn't need directions because it was just like looking at like a beam of light going up into the sky. I was like, oh, this must be it. And I pulled in and there's literally a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man sized Frosty the Snowman in his front yard. He has his own radio station. Eric, I appreciate your honesty. You weren't making up tall tales. He literally has his own radio station broadcasting from his house. The entire Battle of Hoth and Endor in blown up air inflated Christmas decorations are on your front lawn. Chris, what happened to you in your childhood that made you go to this extreme for the holidays? Please tell us your origin story.
And so this is just Christmas. There's also Halloween, we go even further on Halloween, but Christmas is very bright. The origin story is very simple. I lived in an apartment in New York City. We didn't have any of this.
Yeah.
We weren't allowed to hang lights on the fire escape. We weren't allowed to do any of that stuff. So all we had was a Christmas tree in the apartment. And I got my own land. I got my own property. And I was like, I'm going all out.
I'm going to take it out on New Jersey. All the lost holiday time I had in the city. I get you. That makes sense. So after the holiday, so how long does this stuff stay up throughout the year?
We usually by Thanksgiving weekend, we put it out,
Okay.
Try to take advantage of the warmer weather. But it usually comes down probably first week of January, around the Epiphany or whatever, if you're religious and you know what that is, January 7th or so. So yeah, about that, maybe mid-January at the latest, but we don't leave it up that long, maybe a month and a half at most.
So you're a responsible decorator. I appreciate that. That's great.
You should really just put it up even earlier, so Halloween goes down, holiday decor goes up.
We have plans for keeping Halloween up through Christmas.
Ooh.
In some kind of fashion. Light show just changes. There's programming involved, but that's going to be a multi-year project probably.
I like where this is going. And so are you guys ready for Christmas at the Nitro household?
All the decorations are out. We're all waiting. Presents are coming from the North Pole. We're doing all that. The invites have been sent out to the family. So I think we're ready, but nice. You never know.
Do you guys host a celebration like on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or something like that for the extended family to come?
I always host Christmas in my house because my name is Chris, and that's how the Greeks work.
Well, on that note, hey Chris. Speaking of times, I don't know. I got nothing on that one. I'm just gonna toss it over to you. Don't let us down. Do your thing.
Thanks, Anthony. Mr. Pizza Dough. So it is what you're watching time. For our new listeners that are tuning in for the first time this week, this is where we go around the room here and ask the question of everyone, what you watching? So this week we'll start with Tim, what you watching?
So I'll continue on my YouTube kick. I've been watching this guy, Colin Frews. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him. Mm-hmm. He's an English maker, and by English I mean tea time English. I'm actually really drawn to these DIY makers, and right now it's kind of particularly special because as part of the YouTube maker community. They're doing a Secret Santa, and he made a flame-throwing device that is positioned in a part of your body where you might find it comical to put it.
You don't want to elaborate on that there?
So you're saying it's a fart
Yes,
flamethrower?
that's exactly what I'm saying. It's exactly what I'm saying.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Have you actually? I'm going to ask a very gross question, but have you ever actually seen anyone ever do that? Like, yeah, light a toot.
probably. I can see how it can be useful.
Like if you're lost in the woods and it's too cold outside and you
Right,
can't
just-
get the fire started,
Just light up a fart.
light up a fart. All right. Well, we will certainly leave a link to that in the show notes.
Thank you, Tim. Moving on to Eric. Eric, what you watching?
I watched a lot of stuff this week to make up for last week. Jesse and I went to see Willy Wonka. So that was really cool. We enjoyed it. There were some nice catchy songs in there. Hugh Grant is hilarious. So went to see that. Finished watching, Anthony, this is for you. Finished watching The Crown,
Ooh.
the second part of the season. That's done too. And then I started watching season 2 of Jack Reacher on Amazon Prime. So those are the things I've been watching.
I've got a question on Wonka because I'm not sure how I feel about it yet, and I haven't seen it yet. But from the trailer, I'm very distracted by Timothée Chalamet's representation of Wonka, and it just makes me think of like this overzealous community theater actor who is just trying new things, and so he's latched on to an idea of what Willy Wonka should be based off of Gene Wilder and Johnny Depp and kind of amalgamating them together. And it kind of like completely turned me off. I don't think we're going to talk about it in this episode, but it's an 83% fresh score on Rotten Tomatoes, 91% audience score. So it's kind of one of those where critics hate it or don't really like it, but audiences are kind of digging it. So what was your expectation kind of going into it? Are you a Wonka fan? Are you a Wonka-nite?
I think I liked the other Willy Wonka movies. I think they were real smart with this one in that it's not a remake. It's not a retelling of the Chocolate Factory story, right? I don't think this is a spoiler. This is the origin story that they're trying to go at. So Willy Wonka's in a different place in his life. And I think that gave Chalamet a lot of creative freedom to be able to figure things out, right? He doesn't have to be exactly the same as the other Willy Wonkas because he's a Willy Wonka who's just starting out. And I can completely understand the rating differences between critic and audience situation. It's a family film, and I think it's going to be one of those things that people get excited about going and watch together for the holidays. So, yeah, I don't think that you don't really need to think about how you compare with the other Willy Wonka. I mean, you could, but what's the point? It's a whole different story.
All right. I dig it. I like your explanation here. I think I can now see it and not be so hater-y of it. Cool. Thanks, man.
Hugh Grant is a great Oompa Loompa, by the way. So I wish there were more Hugh Grant.
He went from 90s British affable, I guess whatever the equivalent of sex symbol in British entertainment is, to Oompa Loompa. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for him, but bravo! I'm glad that he's still getting work.
I think he did an interview where he talked about exactly this, where for a while he was getting a lot of rom-com leads situation, and then he said, well, now I'm old, and so the kind of roles that are coming to him are a little different now. And I think he's a bit of a I don't know if it's a persona thing, but he's always these days trying to come across as like a bit of a grouchy dude, and I think this goes really, and maybe that's part of the Oompa Loompa thing that he's doing. But no, he was great in this movie. One of the highlights.
Good on Willy Wonka with those ratings. kicking it over to me, I finished Invincible, even though it was a short, I guess half season 2. I liked it. I like how it left, us cliffhanging, and looking forward to seeing how it ends, or how it continues, I should say. Hopefully it keeps going on. Yeah, really good show. After I finished that up, I moved over to Netflix, and I started watching this documentary film called Stamped from the Beginning, which is based on a book that dives into the history of racism in America, basically. I'm not going to do it justice giving a short synopsis. If you're interested in the cultural history of that idea in America, I recommend watching it. I haven't finished watching it, but I think they do a very good job in terms of the film. I have not read the book, but I do recommend that. That's it for me, and we'll throw it back over to Mr. Pizza Dough. I'm going to keep that going now, since you brought it out.
I did. I brought it out, and now I can participate in the origin story episode whenever it happens. So, Eric, we need a nickname for you. Please share it when you've decided on what it is going to be. So, my favorite TV show of the last couple of years actually has been Taskmaster. It's on. You can find it on YouTube, but it's one of my favorite shows. I've binge watched all 16 seasons of it. I've loved Greg Davis since seeing him in, I think it was Man's Down. It was on Netflix for several years, but he's a phenomenal comedian and actor. And when I stumbled across this show, I fell in love with it. So I've finished season 16, or series 16, as they say across the pond, and now I've started watching some of the it's funny to say, but international variants of it. So the New Zealand series is on YouTube right now, and so I've started watching that, and it's very different. The vibe is very different. When you watch Greg Davis, who is just a master host in a remarkably witty and phenomenal comedian and performer. The host of the New Zealand series, kind of dry. I'm not familiar with a lot of the New Zealand celebrities or comedians out there. I hear there's only like a dozen of them, so there's not a whole lot that you have to kind of know. But this guy is a little on the bland side. His co-host, which on Taskmaster UK is Alex Horn, the amazing Alex Horn. The co-host in New Zealand is actually quite funny, and I think he does Alex Horn proud. But yeah, so I'm making my way through there just to kind of see like the similarities between the two, and it's a lot of fun. So, all right, well, thank you, gents. We're going to leave links to trailers and clips to all the stuff that we're watching in the show notes, so make sure you check those out. All right, let's dive into the news. Disney is set to lose Mickey in 2024. Mickey Mouse. Well, not really Mickey Mouse. Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse. So the very first iteration of Mickey Mouse is set to enter the public domain at the beginning of 2024, nearly 100 years after his debut in 1928. Steamboat Willie isn't the first major character to enter the public domain, though, and that's what makes this all interesting. In 2022, Winnie the Pooh and his fellow cast of 1,000 Acre Woods characters became free reign, leading us to this year's B-horror flick, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. I feel like that's how you have to say that title. So, Tim, you are a Disney dieharder. What do you think? Are we going to see a Steamboat Willie horror series? Is he going to be the next Freddy Krueger? What's going on? What are your thoughts on all of this?
Maybe Disney will make a ride, Blood and Honey in the parks. Who knows?
I like it.
I think that the Winnie the Pooh one definitely made it through because nobody thinks that that's actually a Disney film. Cartoons could be potentially another story, as you pointed out. It's only Steamboat Willie. But could we see a horror series with Steamboat Willie? Possibly. I'm sure that Disney will certainly pull out all the legal tricks that they have to prevent that happening. And, will a reasonable person think it's a bona fide Disney movie? Probably not. But, full disclosure, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know what types of legal tricks they have up their sleeve other than the ones that we've seen them pull. I think earlier this year when they tried to do something with DeSantis where they, the contract wasn't valid until 21 years after the death of survivor of the descendants of King Charles III of England or some nonsense.
Right, yes.
So,
yep.
I don't think people are going to be confused. Would it be funny to see it? I think it probably would be. Nice. Would I watch it? Sure. Did I see the Winnie the Pooh one? No, I didn't. But now I probably will.
It's good background noise. That's all I can really say about it. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but there's lots of blood and honey, and Winnie the Pooh and his cast of characters. Chris, thoughts?
I mean, Disney's been trying to, and successfully has been extending the copyright law for decades now. So we're used to. I think it only used to be like maybe a dozen years or something like that, copyright law, but now it's up to 95 years, and I think that's after 2 successful attempts to extend it. I think the last copyright extension was 1998. Copyright law extension was 1998, so we're operating on that, where things are valid for 95 years. I think we're very close to the final, countdown here, or however the trope is, for them to successfully get another one. But Tim said it. They might do it. I don't know. It remains to be seen. I'm curious.
I'm sure they'll try to swoop in last minute to put an application in front of Congress to extend it. Wouldn't be shocked.
I mean, it's kind of a big deal. Winnie the Pooh is one thing. The precursor to one of the most iconic animated characters in known history is a completely different thing. So yeah, it's a really good point to see if they'll continue to fight this.
Quick question. It's one of those things where I feel like I grew up with a lot more Disney like Mickey and Friends content than what I've seen out there today. Like the various Disney characters, like the Mickey characters. And are they making more for kids, or is it one of those things where Disney has so much property going on right now, they're just focused on other stuff and not some of the original people? I just feel like such a missed opportunity that, I think there's going to be generations of people that just know them as, oh, that's the thing I see at Disneyland, but you're not growing up with Donald Duck and Mickey and so on and so forth. So I'm just curious because maybe I'm not target audience. Chris, what do you think?
I know for sure, since my kids used to be glued to the TV when they were younger to watch Disney Junior and stuff like that, or I should say Disney Plus, but Disney Junior part of Disney Plus. They do make new shows, Disney and Mickey and Friends and other iterations of that, and there's new shorts that have been coming out over the last few years. So there definitely is brand new Mickey content. Does it spread far and wide like you're saying? I don't think so. I only know so because my children. It's not as iconic as it used to be, other than the fact that it's still in the forefront of everyone's mind because of the parks, because of the stuff that Disney puts out. If they want it to be given to the masses, Disney will definitely put forth that leg and make sure it happens.
I think Donald and Goofy also enter the public domain in the next 2 years as well. So if you want to see the slasher, maybe they're going to wait for another 2 years until those two also enter the public domain so he can slash his friends. Who knows?
Kingdom Hearts, the massacre. All right. Also this week, the Washington Post reported that last week, E3, once the world's biggest video gaming convention, has been permanently canceled. E3 was where gaming's biggest producers debuted and teased their biggest titles. However, the writing has been on the wall for several years as more and more companies started setting up their own virtual and live events to make product announcements. Then, of course, the pandemic didn't help anyone, causing E3 to be canceled in 2020. set up as a virtual con in 21, then canceled again in 22 and 23. So it was just a matter of time before this one's epic celebration of gaming came to an end. Good game, E3. Well played. Eric, thoughts on this one? Were you shocked that E3 was canceled? Do you think game distributors and producers will be just as successful, if not more, by going solo?
I think so. You look at the trend of all these conferences that are just going away now. I think that a lot of things has happened over the last few years that is beginning to make these kind of things be relevant, right? It's not just E3. I think there's a lot of conventions out there these days where brands are choosing to go on their own or choosing to go online, and that's where most of the audience is anyway, right? And so I think gone are the days where a lot of people want to wait and pack into a big room just to see things they can already find online, probably even find more information online than kind of in person. I mean, in my professional life, if you look at just even conferences that exist out there, I think that the format are beginning to change a lot more now that people are a lot more used to having more of a hybrid kind of approach to these kind of things. So no, I'm not surprised by brands pulling away and possibly going by themselves, or going to figure out what is like an online method to do these kind of things. So yeah, I mean, I think conference organizers and conventions need to figure out what their business models are going to be in the future, because I think this is going to be just a sign of more to come.
And that's a really good point. Chris, what do you think?
I think the distinction and this might be a topic of its own, we can explore what is a trade show, what is a convention, what is a conference, what format, like Eric was just talking about, what format is appropriate for this stuff. I've always known E3 to be a trade show, right? So you're talking about industry people getting together, showing off their technologies to each other, maybe whipping out the resumes, and basically insider industry mingling. A conference, sharing of information, a convention, showcasing your ideas. I mean, I could be wrong in my definitions here, but E3 was around for a very long time. I think it was the mid-90s. And they didn't open their doors to the public till I think the late 20-teens. But then you have the reverse where, because I know this happens at New York Comic Con, they have a industry day, right? So it's a convention in that they're showcasing everything. It's open to the public, but then they set aside an entire day for industry people. So it's like you have this mix of what is this event really? People switching to the announcements. Obviously, I think that contributed to E3's demise. Everyone has their own events. Apple Keynote and Google I/O, and I'm sure Microsoft does their own stuff, and Sony does their own stuff, and Nintendo does its own stuff. It might just be a cost saving thing. It's like we recruit online, we hire through websites, we know people, this, that, and the other thing. It's just everyone's a lot more connected nowadays, and you don't have to have this mega event to get everyone together in the same room to share ideas or steal ideas. I don't know how you want to present it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Interesting thoughts. With it's so easy to announce a new game on Twitter or X, whatever it's called, or YouTube Live, or any of the other communications or community mechanisms that we have now, that, from a cost savings perspective, why spend $150,000 to be a sponsor at a trade show or have a booth or a presence there when you could just as easily get as many more eyeballs on what your message is for free, in essence, through YouTube Live or a Twitter stream or something like that. Really interesting to see what the impact will be for conventions moving forward. Tim, thoughts?
Well, I was just going to say, you're even losing a lot of the physical media, right? You don't even get the game anymore. I remember when gaming was big, and back in the mid 2000s, even the early 2000s, people would stand up in line for hours on end to get the next game. I remember Modern Warfare was a crazy launch at E3, and I think I got it the day it came out, and I waited in line, and it was a physical copy. You don't get that anymore. It's a digital copy, and as everybody else is pointing out, right? It's cheaper to do that. They don't have to spend all the money. And
Yep.
I think future consoles have already, or the big mega console companies, they've already indicated like future generations of consoles are going to be sans physical media.
Well, the PlayStation 5, there's a version there's one of two versions. You either got one with the disc or without the disc. I ended up getting the one.
Same for the Xbox.
Oh, okay, yeah, and I got the disc one because I do have a couple Blu-rays. But even Blu-rays, I think we talked about this in a previous episode, or maybe we're just doing it over lunch. But I think it was Guillermo del Toro or someone was saying people who buy Blu-rays are actually preserving film history because that episode or that movie that was on Netflix for a year will disappear eventually, when their license agreement ends up. But if you have it, you have it. Eric.
Yeah, two comments. I think one, some friends of mine just bought The Mandalorian in 4K on Blu-ray, and it was one of those things where I didn't even know it was out there,
Mm-hmm.
and they were talking about how watching it 4K was crazier than watching it streaming, right? And so, one of those things that's available out there. So, yeah, I mean, I buy Blu-ray where I can. I especially on things like that shows up in the Criterion collection, like in the ones I like, I make sure I preserve those. You hear so much about rights management these days, and all of a sudden this is not your thing anymore, right? So where I can, honestly, I still try to buy physical games where I can, and by the way, I can resell those if I wanted to, whereas the digital I really can't. So just food for thought, and also a plug for Mandalorian. The Blu-ray DVDs are out there. And I think just the earlier conversation got me thinking a little bit. Chris is right. I think going back to E3 being a trade show slash is a consumer, is a B2B kind of situation, right? And that's why I really think that these things need to evolve. Like if we're talking a true B2B trade show, a convention organizer needs to think about what is the way they evolve, so that, by the way, large brands will want to continue to stay involved, right? So that they're not just going away and go doing their own thing, which is a trend that we're seeing. And so how do they continue to make interesting, instead of like the rinse and repeat, like every other trade show that are out there, you have a floor space, you have a show, you have whatever, like, is there a way to change it up a little bit? I think that's going to be very interesting to watch, to see how people think about these kind of B2B thing over the course of the next several years.
Well, I think we have a topic for a future episode on physical media, on the future of trade shows and conventions. On that note, E3 did inspire this week's conversation, so let's get to it. Well, we'll talk about video games and the future of physical media in an upcoming episode. This con cancellation got us thinking about our favorite conventions in general. From Comic-Con to Star Wars Celebration, Emerald City Comic-Con to Dragon Con. There's a pop cultural celebration of all things geeky for everyone these days. So we figured we'd share our past favorites and what we're looking forward to in 2024. I'll start off, and then I'll hand it off to one of my esteemed colleagues. This is the first time I've attended this, and I've been to a lot of cons, and one of the things I love most about them is the cosplay and the fellowship of meeting up with friends. But one of my favorite cons so far, it's actually a fair, is the Jersey Fest Model and Statue Fair, which I attended for the first time this year. It was at the Newark Airport Marriott Hotel. And it's been going on for 30 plus years. Now, for those of you who don't know, I am a model maker, prop maker. It's one of my passions. I've just started getting into sculpting, clay sculpting. And this is a gathering of some of the finest model and statue makers across the globe. And they descend upon New Jersey. They have classes on sculpting or painting. And then the trade show is all of these phenomenal sculptors showcasing and selling their works. It's a place where you can find vintage model kits from like the 60s, 70s, and 80s. You can find kits that have never been released before, but are only available at that particular show. So if you are a model making enthusiast like myself, the Jersey Fest Model and Statue Fair is a must attend. It's very similar. excuse me, it's very similar to, I think it's called WonderCon, which is in Louisville every June or sometime in the summertime. That's a much larger version of Jersey Fest. But I highly recommend my friends to check that out if you're in New Jersey and you're a big fan of model making, sculpting, and the like. Are you guys, any of you guys into model making, anything like that? Or are you just into props and costumes?
I'm a model, so
You're a model. Yes, you're our resident supermodel. Thank you, Eric. We'll see you at the Victoria's Secret fashion show.
I do like the Bandai, lower end, just snap and put together kind of things. I'm not super into painting and whatever, but I haven't explored that, and I don't think there's enough room in my hobby plate yet to start getting into that more intricate stuff. But it's very interesting. I do want to attend with you next year if I have the time, so I am looking forward to that as well.
Nice. All right, I'm going to toss it over to Toots. What's your favorite convention of the past?
My favorite convention, this is going to sound kind of weird to some people. Well, maybe not to the group on the phone or on the audio right now, but so for the folks who are listening, all of us are part of the 501st, and my favorite con in the past couple of years has been Celebration, and the reason is because just like all the celebrations, it's a chance to connect with my extended Star Wars family, and you talk to these people all around the world, and you get to meet them once every 2 or 3 years, and I'm really looking forward to the celebration in Japan in 2025. I know that's not in 2024, but it's it's a bucket list destination for me, and I think if you're a fan of a group, going to these cons as part of a subgroup kind of makes it a little bit more special, a little bit more unique, instead of something like, I'm not saying New York Comic Con or even San Diego Comic Con or Emerald is too commercialized, but it makes the endless waiting and the growing number of irritable people doing the exact same thing a little bit more tolerable.
That's fair. What year or what number? I forget what number we're up to, so I just kind of go by years. But what year is your favorite Star Wars celebration?
I think the Anaheim one probably was the most favorite. There's just a lot going on. I think, it was post-COVID. Everybody was really just happy to get back into the swing of things. There have been so many people that I hadn't seen in such a long time. I know Chris was there. They had a whole night out at Disneyland, and the whole Galaxy's Edge was just full of thousands of 501st Legion members and just Star Wars all over the place.
Yeah, plus the ACC.
I wouldn't call it post-COVID because I got COVID there.
Womp, womp, womp. Plus the ACC is a beautiful convention center. There's a lot of natural light, which you don't typically see in some of these big convention halls. There's a lot of outdoor space, which is nice too. So Anaheim, I didn't make it to Anaheim, but I have been to conventions at Anaheim, and it is a beautiful space. Good pick, Tim. Good pick. All right. Well, since Nitro got COVID in Anaheim, we're going to toss it over to you to see what con you went to where you didn't get COVID. Or maybe you did. What's your favorite past con, Tim, Nitro?
The first con I ever attended, I think, was 2004, maybe 5, New York Comic Con. I mean, it's memorable to me because it was the first one I ever attended. Is it my favorite con? No, not at all. Back then, it was a lot smaller. I shouldn't say small by any means, but it was definitely smaller than what it is today. So the format is a lot better. It was a lot better back then, only because it's become this mega con where people are fighting to get into it. I shouldn't say that either, but you get what I mean. Yeah. It's like people are trying to get into it. Ticket prices are going up, but people are still clamoring over each other to get in. So I'm not a huge fan of it now, but back then it was nice. I liked it. It was the biggest thing in New York City at the time in terms of geekdom. I know there is Big Apple. There was or is. I'm not sure. I haven't lived in the city in a long time, but there was or is Big Apple Comic Con. I never went to that. But the New York Comic Con was one of my favorites. So having since moved to New Jersey, I've come to enjoy a lot more smaller cons, like Garden State Comic Fest, when it was still around, East Coast Comic Con, that's defunct now. A myriad of smaller type events, and it's only because you get to have more time with the artists, with the talent, with other con goers. It's a lot more mellow. There's less of this like hustle and bustle of like just get on the line, get off the line, move on to the next thing, and I need to get the con exclusive. Like there's less of that. It's more geared towards the artists and the appreciation of comics, and just geeky stuff in general.
Yeah, that's a good call. I agree with the small con vibe, especially, the only small cons I've been to are like Garden State Comic Fest. And you're right, you get that extra moment, with someone you're doing a photo op with that you absolutely will not get at a celebration or a Comic-Con because it is such a machine. But there you can actually shake their hand and say, hi, I love your work, and have an interaction that's more than 10 seconds. I remember I got my a photo op with Mark Hamill at Celebration 17 when they were in Orlando. And you literally walk in, shake your hand, hello, hi, out. Like, if it was 10 seconds, it was amazing how quick it just went by, that you don't even realize it happened until you look at the picture and it's like, oh, that just happened. So I agree with you. All right, Eric Ho, favorite past con?
I don't know that I have a favorite convention. I don't usually go for. I don't really care for photo ops. I don't care for autographs. I mean, I think it's cool to see these folks, but I get really excited when my friends are around, right? So I think that when I attend conventions, maybe it's not so much to check out the content of the conventions, mostly just to hang out with people. I feel like I get a lot out of being around the convention. It's the meals, it's the whatever. So if a convention happened to be the reason why I am in a certain place, I go, right? So, a case in point, this past year, Chris and I, and Anthony swears that he was there, were at Celebration in London. I didn't. I think we didn't. Anthony wasn't there. But I feel like what was it? This time was 4 days. I don't think I was in the convention for all 4 days. I think I was there for maybe 2 days, but I spend most of my time hanging out with people that I just enjoy being around. So to me, being in this hobby, that's what I get out of it. I enjoy meeting other makers. I enjoy people that I've seen, my internet friends, and meeting them. And so that's the part about conventions that speaks to me. Not so much going specific to those things. Now, having said that, I will say, I think maybe 15 years ago, I may or may not have stumbled into a Stargate convention. And I love Stargate, and I don't remember if it was a Stargate dedicated convention or if it was part of something else. But I just remember going, oh my God, like this is a Stargate convention. This is awesome. And it's I don't know. I don't think Stargate ever became super, super mainstream. I mean, it's gone on for many, many seasons. And so when you have a dedicated fan base like that for these kind of things, those I love. So that was a lot of fun and kind of sticks out in my head. But I don't remember if it was an actual convention or if it was just a lot of Stargate people got there at the same place.
That is amazing.
You sure it wasn't Galaxy Quest?
Also awesome. No, but it was in the Meadowlands. I remember it was in the Meadowlands somewhere. And a lot of people from the shows were there. And I remember I bought a necklace. This is like a long, long time ago. And I don't remember anything else. I just remember going, wow, these are my people. This is crazy.
So there was it's called Gate World. Oh, I'm sorry. Gate Con is a fan convention centered on the Stargate television franchise. The first one was held in 2000 in Vancouver, Canada. That's without reading the entire thing. I'm assuming that there have been multiples. Well, it seems to have morphed actually into SpaceCon, and SpaceCon San Antonio will be in 2024, and they'll have a Stargate exhibit there too. So yeah, I think you're right. You weren't tripping there, Eric. There was a Stargate convention at one point in the world's history, and you attended it. So congratulations.
I love it, man. I can talk a whole episode about Stargates. This is awesome.
Amazing. So okay, that'll be a future topic as well. I've only ever seen the movie, never the series. But good point. Going to these cons, meeting friends that you've known forever, meeting people that you've been talking to online or throughout some other medium for the first time is always great. And I was absolutely at Star Wars Celebration London. You were not there at all. I saw Chris. I saw Justin. I saw people. You were not there. You were a ghost. All right, gents. So what are we looking forward to in 2024? We know Tim is already buying his tickets to Japan in 2025. But in 2024, the year that is upon us, what are you looking forward to? I'm personally looking forward to WonderCon. So again, it's a model convention and fair. I've never been. I've always wanted to go, and so I'm going to make sure I get out to Louisville in June to attend that, because they have some awesome classes to help me kind of hone my model making and painting skills, and just really kind of meet some of the people that I follow on social media and YouTube, and meet them in real life and kind of learn from them in real life. So I'm really excited about that. I'm going to try to make it happen this year for the first time. We'll go back in the order that we went. Tim, 2024, trade show, conference, what are you looking forward to?
I think I'm going to have to check out that Jersey Fest model and statue fair now that you mentioned it. I'm not a huge model guy, but I do like making props. I think that'd be kind of cool. So I'm happy to tag along.
Sweet. As soon as the info comes out, I'll share it with all of you so you can learn more about all the classes and the dates and stuff. All right. Nitro.
I personally, I haven't, having small kids and working 6-day work weeks and all that, so I haven't been able to travel as much as I would like to, because when I do get my travel time, I dedicate it to something big. Like Celebration that Eric and Anthony were both at separately. I want to expand my convention repertoire with the big ones. Like I would like to go to like a Dragon Con or an Emerald City or something like that. But it's also like, why would I go? I understand why I would. Listeners, please don't kill me. There are different events, but I would like to go back to New York Comic Con. I haven't been in years. I know what to expect. I may not go as a fan. Maybe we can do a live show, the four of us there. Mm-hmm. Who knows? That's a possibility. But I'd like to go to other things. So the fair that Anthony's invited us to, I'd like to attend that. Maybe Gen Con. We have friends that attend almost yearly. If not yearly, check that out. WonderCon sounds interesting. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, just open up to other things and check it out. I'd go to a Stargate Con with Eric just to hang out with Eric.
Aw, nice. All right, Eric, what are you looking forward to in 24?
Which I still can't get over the fact you saw Stargate the movie, but not Stargate the TV shows.
I liked the movie. It was a lot of fun. Just didn't get into the series. Yeah.
There were many seasons and many spin-offs. Anyway, convention. Like I mentioned, I don't have any particular ones that I'm looking forward to. I like going where my friends are. So if you guys are going to any fun conventions as a group, we should all go together.
I love it. So everyone listening, the four of us are going to be at the Jersey Fest Model and Statue Fair at the Newark Airport Marriott sometime in September of 24. We will share the dates and locations, and maybe we'll do a live podcast from the lobby of the Marriott. Who knows? Why not?
Or we can go visit Chris in his office and do a podcast from his office.
I like this. I like this. I like this. No one in his office will have a problem with this at all. At all. No one in the federal government will have a problem with it. We're A-okay with this one.
You will not be on the visitor list that day, so good luck.
Oh, my God. All right, guys. Good chats about conventions. Folks listening, what are your favorite conventions that you've attended in the past? Let us know in the comments or shoot us a DM. We'd love to hear where you're at and what you love to attend. And also let us know what you cosplay as, too. Chris, did you cosplay at your first New York City Comic-Con? Or did you just go as a people watcher?
Just as a people watcher, as a broke college kid back then, so definitely didn't. And again, living in an apartment in New York City, not a lot of space, with 3 other people living there with me, so didn't have time for any of that.
Got it. All right. Well, you all let us know what you cosplay at some of these things, because I love cosplay. All 4 of us love cosplay. That'll be a future topic as well. All right. So before we wrap up today's episode, guys, what are you looking forward to this week? It's the big week, so there's lots to look forward to. Tim, what are you looking forward to this week?
I don't know. Is it Hanukkah?
Hanukkah's done. Tim, come on.
Just kidding.
You should know, Tim. You should know.
I know.
Turn in your card.
Yeah, I got to turn on my card. No, I mean, we got Christmas this week. I had to go Christmas shopping. We've got plans for the 23rd, the 24th, 25th. It's going to be a jam-packed week. I got to go in the city again this week, so I got to see more tourists. So definitely not looking forward to that. But hey, it's the last time I probably have to go in until New Year's.
Awesome. Well, I hope you survive. We wish you luck. What about you, Chris?
Some of my lights have been damaged. There's been a lot of rain and water and winds and stuff like that, so I'm looking forward to repairing things. I like to tinker with that stuff outside. So it's going to be nice weather some of these days this week. In the 60s we're looking at, I think, at some point. So hopefully it's one of those days that all the stuff shows up that I ordered to have replaced. But I like doing that stuff, working with lighting and whatnot. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Very nice. Yes, it's going to be a nice balmy Christmas here in New Jersey. All right, Eric, what are you looking forward to?
I'm getting insulation installed this week. It's a real homeowner thing to be excited about, but I'm very excited about not only new insulation and also a new boiler. So, folks, it's gonna be real warm up in here. So I'm very much looking forward to that right before Christmas.
And this is after you go to Home Depot to pick out some new drapes and some wallpaper for the bathroom.
Is your favorite drink now water?
Bed Bath & Beyond. There may not be enough time.
I'm telling y'all, I'm very, very excited about this thing. We'll see what happens.
It's like the fall of Hank the Tank here. All right.
What are you looking forward to, Anthony?
Oh, Eric, thank you so much for asking. I forgot to kick myself off on this one. I'm looking forward to, it's going to be pretty quiet at work this week, which is nice. So I'm actually meeting up with a friend for lunch on Wednesday. I'm doing an install of a project at another friend's house earlier in the week. On my lunch break, I'm building him an addition to his kind of, he's doing some outdoor thing that I made for him. And then just kind of winding down for the holiday and, wrapping presents and all that stuff. So it's going to be a nice, productive week, but also a relatively quiet week because a lot of people are on vacation now, which is excellent. All right. That's all we have this week. Make sure you follow us everywhere at Geeky A Go-Go. Thank you to Chris, Eric, and Tim for your brains as always. And thank you so much for listening. Make sure you subscribe or follow the podcast on your favorite platform. And please leave us a review. It doesn't cost you a thing, and it does help us reach more and more people. Until next time, you stay geeky, Internet.
Bye.